What's up? You are now listening to Americanized, a storytelling podcast where you'll hear from eclectic first and second generation Americans share their stories and real life experiences as children of immigrants. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Americanized. This is a bonus episode. We are taking a little pause from the Immigrant Heritage Month series. And this just kind of came to me today. I wasn't planning on speaking on this or recording an episode for today, but the way I was thinking about this, I said, I need to put my thoughts out there, put a message out there, so here we are. Happy Juneteenth! Yeah, Juneteenth is one of those holidays that makes me think. It has always made me think, especially while identifying as an African living in America. It makes me think of the roles that African people play on this holiday. Juneteenth is a federal holiday that celebrates the emancipation of enslaved Black Americans, and it's really not just about freedom, but I'm learning that it's about identity. This feels like a holiday exclusively for Black people, not Pan-Africans, not Caribbeans, just Black Americans. And it makes me wonder, well, what role can Black children of immigrants like me play on this day? Now, I did come across this post earlier this morning that was really eye-opening. This is World Cup season, so you're seeing a lot of flags, a lot of representation, a lot of people representing their countries and their homelands with flags. And this post had this woman representing the Juneteenth flag, and the caption was something like, when you're a kid who doesn't have a flag, something about not having a flag to represent themselves or their identity. And the American flag can only go so far, but to have a specific flag, the Juneteenth flag, to represent your identity and your culture in America as a Black person was really cool to see and really refreshing and eye-opening. Like, yes, there's a flag for everybody. So going back to growing up African in America, Blackness did feel a little bit complicated. On one hand, at home, I was Ivorian. I was raised on my parents' language, their foods, values, expectations. And it wasn't until we slowly assimilated and spoke English, ate more American foods, my parents became a little bit more relaxed, but only when we got older and were more mature. Let's not get it twisted. They're still African parents at the end of the day. They're not going to be full-on American parents, if you know what I mean. But even with this assimilation, we were not, quote-unquote, Black. We were still Africans. Now, outside of the house, I was just Black. And being African inside and Black outside were not the same thing. As a kid growing up, there really wasn't a huge distinction of Black people within the Black community unless you are in the Black community and you can distinguish the type of Black people. Comparing Blackness to other racial ethnicities and identities, you're either Black or you're something else, and if you're seen as Black, it doesn't completely matter if you have Caribbean roots or Pan-African roots, you're just Black. You're either Black or you're something else. That's, like, for me, my experience outside the house as a Black person. My ancestors may not have been enslaved in America, but I still carry the aftermath of Blackness in America. Regardless of whether my parents are from here, there, anywhere, because I'm Black, I'm still gonna be treated as a Black person in America. That distinction part doesn't really matter to anybody. Regardless of me being a child of immigrant parents from West Africa, my skin is Black, I'm a Black woman, and that comes with a lot of implications and consequences in a way for something that I have no control over. So here's a quick story time to kind of explain this difference that I experience as a Black person in America, but also highlighting the fact that I'm an African in America, or I have African roots that I can trace back to Cote d'Ivoire pretty easily. That's where my parents came from. So I am embarrassed to say this, but thinking back on my early adulthood, I will say it was during college. I was doing an internship at a summer camp with a friend of mine who is Black, and I think it was in June, sometime in June, close to Juneteenth. So that topic came up. She brought it up, and I was a little confused. I was like, what is Juneteenth? And it was cool. She didn't shame me for not knowing it. She was actually encouraging, and she was like, you know what it is. You definitely know what it is. Just look it up. You know what it is. And so I had to do a little research, and I did know what it was. I guess I didn't know the name of it. I guess the name was a little newer to me. This summer camp experience was before Juneteenth became a federal holiday, before 2021. So for me, and in my experience, I didn't know it as Juneteenth. It wasn't emphasized in my house growing up. We didn't talk about it. It just felt like a newer holiday with it being a federal holiday, but it really wasn't. For a long time, Juneteenth felt like something I was adjacent to, like it belonged to Black Americans, to the descendants of slavery in this country, and I remember thinking, I don't fit into that narrative, that experience, and that's okay. Because my history of Blackness started somewhere else, in another country, on another continent, with another story. But the older I get, the more I realize those stories are connected. Juneteenth is about delayed freedom, about finding out you were free long after freedom was supposed to be yours, and honestly, a lot of children of immigrants know what delayed understanding feels like too. Delayed understanding of your parents, of sacrifice, of why survival shaped your parents the way it did. So Juneteenth reminds me that Black history in America is part of the ground that I walk on, even if my roots started somewhere else. So if you've ever felt not Black enough, or too African, or caught between worlds, maybe Juneteenth is a reminder that our histories may not be identical, but they are in conversation. And maybe honoring Juneteenth isn't about claiming a history that isn't yours. Maybe it's about respecting the history that shaped the place you now call home. And understanding how it shaped you too. Happy Juneteenth, especially to those of us still figuring out what freedom, belonging, and Blackness means for us. Thank you so much for listening. I wonder if you are a Black child of immigrants like me, how do you grapple with, experience, think about Juneteenth? I hope to catch you in the next episode where you will hear from my mom again as we continue the Mom Tell Me About Before series. Stay tuned. All original music produced by Stubborn Saul. You can find him on all music listening platforms at STBRNSAL.